Welcome to the She Thrives Influential Women podcast. I am your host, Lori Murphy, and I am an empowerment coach for women. So I have to say that this is being recorded on video to be launched on YouTube for the very first time. So this is an exciting day because I am taking the next step in growing my podcast and taking an initiative and showing up on camera and going to be discussing some amazing things. So, without further ado, I am so happy to have you here and welcome. So, for some of you who are new to the podcast, and some of you are viewing this for the first time on YouTube, as I said, I am an empowerment coach for women. And if you go to wherever you listen to your audio podcast, whether it's iTunes or iHeartRadio, you'll hear the first episode a lot about my story. I am 13 years sober from alcohol as of November 12th of this year, by the grace of God. And my journey really, truly began when I made that conscious decision to stop drinking. Um, it for me was a huge risk because I was terrified. And I think that some people may not realize that it feels like a risk when you make the decision to get sober from any addiction and clean from any addiction, because essentially it should be easy, right? But it's not. It's not an easy task. I can remember I was 29 years old. I had just celebrated my 29th birthday a week before. I'm born November 4th of 1982. And, you know, I remember sitting there thinking my life was over. I remember sitting there thinking that this is going to be my life, sitting in, fellowship meetings and not being able to have friendships or fun or anything like that. This is it. This is my life, church basements and, damnation, because I felt like in some degree, maybe I was being punished. So I am risking my social life and everything that, I thought that I was, which was super cool, right? Like, I always thought that I was the life of the party. And I can remember there was a point in time not too long before this where my family wanted to put together an intervention and I found out. And I was angry. And I will say that I was not pleasant and I was not kind to my family members. And I said to them, I'm like, you're just jealous because I'm living my life and I'm having a great time. You know what I mean? I'm living the dream. And the reality is that my dream at that point in time, my coolness, my fabulous life was getting out of work and then sitting my butt on a bar stool, getting completely intoxicated and being sloppy and, not somebody you wanted to be around. I could get belligerent. And how I thought that that was the ideal life is beyond me, right? So here I am making, my life has just basically come down to the crash and burn. Crash and burn. And I am devastated, broken. Everything is dark. I'm crying all the time. I couldn't function because every part of me was in agony to my own doing. And that realization that I'm an alcoholic and I can't keep doing what I'm doing because I'm destroying everything around me. Nobody wants to be my friend anymore. My family, has pretty much given up on me, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. I hate that I put them through so much. I really, truly do, because they're good people. I have a wonderful family, and they just wanted to see me get better. And I fought them tooth and nail. And I am so grateful that today that I have been able to get better and I have been able to maintain a long-term sobriety and change my life. I had to hit significant rock bottoms. And in the year 2011, I hit a lot of them. I had an experience where I pretty much almost drank myself to death, essentially. I was in the hospital and I don't remember what happened, but I know that it wasn't good because I basically um collapsed at my apartment, and thank God I had a friend with me because she couldn't wake me up. I fell in my bathroom, I hit my head between my bathtub and my toilet. I slammed my head on my bathtub and she had to call 911 because I wasn't responsive. And apparently, from what I was told, I wasn't breathing very well when they brought me in. And do you think that that was my rock bottom, my wake up call, my hey, guess what? You know, shape up or ship out kind of thing, you know? No, no, no. I remember waking up at home because I wasn't admitted. I was able to come home. And I remember the next day when I finally woke up, I felt awful. And my friend was sleeping on the couch. And I was just like, what the heck? Right? Like what happened? And so she told me, and I was just like, whatever, I need water. I need to get hydrated because we got to go get my car and, we got to go out. It's 4th of July weekend. We need to be out partying. And in my mind, I'm telling myself, like, you're not the person that gets knocked down. Like, no, you get up, you go back out, you are a partier, you are a warrior, right? Like, there's no getting in my way or stopping me. But no amount of water and no amount of food could have gotten me out that door because I was out, right? Like just completely and totally like out for the count, felt terrible. And all I could think was how awful it was that I'm not out at the bars partying with everybody else on 4th of July weekend and I'm stuck home with this hangover. I had no realization of what happened, no matter how much she told me how awful it was. Um, I didn't comprehend it. To me, it was just kind of like, uh, yeah, right. Like, I'm good. Like, you can't stop me, like, whatever. And not, not even acknowledging what I did to her. The fear, how scared she was. She was terrified. And I asked her not to tell anybody what happened. And sure enough, while she was in the ER, she reached out to somebody for help because she was terrified. She was in the ER alone. And I'm not doing well. I'm yelling at nurses and throwing fists, and I'm pretty sure they had to restrain me. And they're trying to basically sober me up, probably pump my stomach, but the reality is I don't remember. I had no recollection of this whatsoever. I'm just going by what I'm told. And when the person she reached out to got in touch with me to have a conversation about my choices, I basically wrote them off and told them that I'm not doing anything different than they're doing. So they have no right to come to me and tell me what to do with my life. That was the person that I was when alcohol was involved in my life. I was not kind. I was very selfish. I was in an extreme amount of denial. And when I put the drink down and I really took a look at myself, I realized that I was full of fear and hurt and pain and just, I was destroyed. I felt destroyed, but I felt like getting sober was the end all be all. Like, life's over. That's it. Done for. Might as well throw in the towel, throw up the white flag, right? Like it really was not something that I felt good about until I walked into a meeting for the first time and met a room full of people who essentially were a lot like me. And I kept hearing my story over and over again, and I was identifying with each and every single one of them in some capacity. And that's when I realized that I was in the right place. I walked into that meeting in tears, shaking, terrified, wanted to hide in a corner. And when I left and got into my mother's vehicle, I was smiling and I was full of hope. And because of those people, I was able to be shown that life was just beginning. And I got to learn how to live my life without alcohol. And in a lot of ways, it was almost like I was extremely immature because it was like I stopped growing up in my teens because that was really when my addictions started. When I started using alcohol and some, drugs, not anything too like awful, but I will say that there was substance abuse involved in that. And I can just, you know, I realized that I had stopped growing up at a very young age and I had no manageability over my life whatsoever. None. I had to literally learn how to grow up. And it was not an easy journey. I wish I could say that it was, but it wasn't. Not at all. Um, Financial responsibility, forget it. I was in a mountain of debt. I would, when I was drinking, I would drink all my money away, so I wasn't paying my bills. So I had to try to come out from that. I couldn't really support myself. So if I wasn't living with another person, I was living outside of the family. I was living with my mother. I did have an apartment. I was living alone when I got sober. And then I moved in with somebody I was in a relationship with. And when that ended, I could not afford to pay rent or take care of myself. And I had to move home in my 30s in my mom's basement. And I'm grateful that her and my stepfather opened up their home to me. But I got to a point after 2 years of living there that, yeah, I have to really grow up here. I'm in my mid 30s and I'm living in my mother's basement. And all I wanted was to be independent. All I wanted was to be able to take care of myself. And I am so glad that everything that happened to get me out of the house happened because I was about to move to Colorado. I was about to move to Colorado. I had a job out there. I put a deposit on an apartment. I'm going to Colorado because I feel as though I have to move away to be able to stand on my own 2 feet. And the thing is that that was not the truth because I realized that that was not going to be the smartest decision for me. And that's a whole nother story I'll get into at another time. But I got an apartment 10 minutes away from my mother's. I stayed in the area that I've grown up in where I had friends and a family and a life. And I'm so glad I did because I got to learn how to stand on my own 2 feet and I didn't have to move across the country to do it. I got to stay with my friends and my support system and I got to, you know, grow up. And in that time frame, in the few years, and then it just, like I said, it just kind of happened. You know what I mean? I stopped asking for help on a financial level. If I had to figure out how to pay my rent because I came up short, I figured out a way to make it work. Whether it was, you know, signing up and becoming an Uber driver or getting some other type of, supplemental income coming in through some type of second job, whatever I had to do, I did it. And I learned how to be responsible. I learned how to be independent and I learned that I was I was going to be okay. And in that process I learned to respect myself more and love myself more and see the things that I was capable of doing. It was amazing. And then the further I went in my journey, I really started to have opportunities to really look at things I needed to heal. There were some things that had come up that just gave me this opportunity to say, okay, why do I keep falling into this pattern? What do I need to do? What do I need to heal? And God kept placing things in my path that just gave me that opportunity to really discover who I truly am, and brought me to a place where I could hear my calling to coach women, to coach them in their own journeys, to get them into a place where they could also thrive through healing, self-discovery, building their confidence, whether it's through getting sober or some other challenge that they're facing in their life. I get to utilize my life experience to help them. And now I get to bring it to a podcast so that it gets out to the whole world. So, ladies, if you're listening to this, I want you to know that you can achieve anything you desire, that you have such incredible worth and value. You're brilliant, you're smart, you're capable. I know that because if I could go from the wreckage that I caused in my life, if I could go from being in this extremely dark place to where I am today, I truly believe that anybody can do it if they really desire it. But the thing is, you can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. You need the love and the support, and you need to have people in your corner. The benefit of working with a coach is that you get that one-on-one personal time that's all about you. And you get to talk about whatever is on your heart. And I get to be the person that listens, truly listens, provides a safe space for you to come and talk about anything you need to talk about to get you to where you need to be. I ask questions to get you thinking, to get you digging deeper, to allow you that time to heal and give you insight. But I will never tell you what to do. You get to figure that out for yourself, and I get to help you with that and love you through it. I love the fact that I get to do that for somebody. The space that I give to each and every single one of each and every one of my clients, it's designed specifically for them and their needs. Because let's face it, we're not all on this exact same journey, and we're not all battling the same demons, and we're not all trying to overcome the same struggles. We all have our own stuff. And what works for you might not work for me, and it might not work for the next person because we're not designed the same. So we get to navigate what works best for you, even if it's through trial and error, because that's how we learn. Man, it makes my heart just so full. It sets my soul on fire. And those aha moments and those moments of extreme growth, just I'm so full of joy for my clients. I have a woman that I have been working with for almost a year now, and the transformation that she has made in just the amount of time we've been working together is just, it blows my mind. And sometimes when I really think about it, it brings a little tear to my eye because I feel emotional, because I get to sit back and watch this woman achieve her goals, be a part of her journey, and connect and build this amazing relationship. That's what I love about coaching. I feel like therapists, I love therapy. I see a therapist, love my therapist. I believe in therapy. I wholeheartedly do. But there is a limitation of where they have to set a boundary where they really can't talk about their own personal experiences to identify what you're going through, or there's just a different type of, there's just, like I said, certain boundaries that you can't cross. But as a coach, you can be a little more personal and a little more open. And I can share with you these things like, hey, guess what? I'm a recovering alcoholic and I screwed up my life pretty good. And look at me now. That is awesome. That is awesome. And and that's what it's all about. It's giving back what's been so freely given to me. It's sharing this message that God wants me to share. So here I am. And I really, truly believe in each and every one of you. And I really appreciate all of you being here. So please subscribe to the channel. Don't let yourself miss another episode. And find me on social media. If you haven't already, connect with me. Let's schedule a call. Let's get to know each other. And if there's some way, shape, or form that I can be a guide in your journey, I'd love to be able to try to help. But the first step is getting on a call and just having a conversation. Making a new friend, essentially, and just, giving that space of comfort and peace. We all deserve it and we all need it. So you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Instagram or LinkedIn under Lori A. Murphy. And if you find me on Facebook, you will see in parentheses next to my name, Empowerment Coach for Women. Send me a request to connect and, all that fun stuff. And we can, connect during Messenger, and have a conversation, and let's get you on the Zoom call. And I love it. I'm so excited. I really am. So I am very excited for the direction this podcast is going. I've already scheduled some amazing interviews. I can't wait to show you what's to come and to grow with you. This is exciting times, everyone, and I appreciate you being here. So with that, let go of fear and let your spirit shine. I look forward to connecting with you. Bye.